All right, it's good to be here. Greetings to your listeners and viewers. So my name is Prince Adu-Appiah. I am a nonprofit leader. I've been doing that for a decade now. I work also as an IT consultant, an author, and an entrepreneur. So I'm living in Accra. I've lived here almost all my life. But most of our work, happens especially in the remote communities. And so, yeah, basically that's it. We work a lot outside of Accra, but I live here in Accra. Years ago, this was my final year in school. I started a nonprofit organization called 1 Billion Africa. I was a typical student who would wake up at dawn at night, pacing the streets of campus, just thinking what difference I can make. I remember around the time I was part of a conference that had a theme, Dare to Shape the World That You Dream of. And around the same time as well. In fact, I remember my New Year resolution that year was to make friends outside of Ghana. And so I began to explore what young people might saw what Sujit Lawani, for example, massive change creating in India. I saw what others were doing in other African countries, in Brazil, across the world. And that further inspired me, to believe that I don't need permission to create change. And so I remember I used to have what I call, in fact, I still do, what I call my passion states. In a typical passion state, I'll just be thinking deeply about what change I can help to create in Africa. So I remember that dawn, it was around 2:30 a.m. I was just thinking deeply, why Africa is tagged as a poor continent when we have all the resources in the world. When you look at what Ghana has, Congo has, South Africa has, we can really, the world can actually depend on us. But unfortunately, we're tagged as a poor continent, and I just couldn't understand that, So I remember I had tears in the eye that night or that dawn, and I heard a voice ask me a question: Prince, how many problems are there in Africa? Your guess is as good as mine. My response was plenty problems, like 1 billion problems. And then the light bulb flicked, the aha moment. So I thought of, how about creating a platform that inspired the 1 billion Africans to turn a problem each in their communities into projects. I did the math and it looked brilliant for me. 1 billion divided by 1 billion people, or problems divided by 1 billion people, that means that we get so many opportunities to make Africa a better place. And so I started 1 Billion Africa with a group of friends of mine. And for a decade now, the journey has really been super inspiring. So what we do is that we run projects, we identify problems in communities and turn these problems into projects. Most of our projects has been in the areas of the Sustainable Development Goal 4, quality education, and Goal 5, gender equality. And the impact has really been inspiring. We do advocacy as well, where we, inspire the youth or Africans across the continent to turn problems into projects. And we've had hundreds of that happen across the continent. We've had projects happen in Namibia, in South Africa, in the Gambia, all across. And it has really, really been inspiring, the journey of turning problems into projects. The tagline of turn a problem into a project. Our vision is to let this be in the minds of almost especially all youth across the continent, so that they can roll up sleeves, identify a problem, and turn this problem into a project. Absolutely. So yes, I tag myself as a creative problem solver because since we started the organization till now, almost all our projects, our activities, we engage in innovation, we employ technology. So for example, if we're going to a school to engage the students, inspire them or empower them, or some form of a career guidance, activity, what we do is that we engage in very innovative activities. We don't go the typical lecturing kind of thing. We engage in very exciting creative activities. I believe, like Albert Einstein said, insanity is when we do the same thing over and over and expect different results. To get different results, the different results we desire, creativity is the way to go, and innovation as well. I remember a quote by Fred Swanica. You would know Fred Swanica. Many years ago, I watched it on YouTube, where he said, development is not a short-term game, and that's the truth, So what keeps us going is the fact that we just have to keep pushing. What we're doing is not easy. It's not everyone that is doing it, and so we just have to roll up sleeves and keep digging. I remember a quote by one of our board of directors that said that, Prince, what you're doing is inspiring. The reason is because it's difficult, it's hard, and usually we tend not to do things because they are not easy. Easy things do not inspire. Easy things do not inspire. We do it because it's hard. I remember, I don't know if you've seen this movie called Facing the Giants, an old Christian movie. I heard one of the main characters saying that leadership is when things are difficult, but you're still leading. And this is what really keeps us going. This is what inspires us. So the advice I'll pass on to people across is that, if it must be done, it must be done well. Like I alluded to earlier on, I heard Fred Swanica say some years ago that development is not a short-term game. So the path that you have chosen on this particular program, it's not easy. It's a hard thing, and you need to stand out. And so the advice I'll pass on is that whatever you're doing, once your hand has found to do it as though you're the only person that can do it. It was Martin Luther King Jr. that said that if you're a street sweeper, street sweep so much so that one day when you're not there and the angels are flying over, they would say that one time ago, there lived here the best street sweeper across the world. So if it must be done, it must be done very well. Give it the best that you can. It's not easy. Don't expect it to be easy. So expect it to be difficult, and then push your way through it. Don't give up, no matter what.
Thank you very much for honoring my invitation.
Pleasure.
I really appreciate it. And I just hope this video gets nominated into the ALX platform, and they see how they can liaise with your organization, and who knows where this one might lead to. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much.